Hello everyone, meeting from the bedroom here. You can tell Junky. Let me make some noise first. Having slight difficulties with my board. So I had to rearrange things, of course. Look at Yeah. So maybe I'll put a picture up of my board. I was just trying to, clear some space. I was taking off things I wasn't using all the time. What I have on here is what I use all the time. And because the order has been rearranged, meaning the pedals have been, swapped out from spot to spot, I get that. Just a little bit, but it was a lot quieter before. So this is me turning on the Demon FX attack drive, Andy Timmons clone pedal. This is me turning on the boost. Just a little bit, but I had zero before. That's the phaser. This is the wah. This is the rotovibe. This is the chorus. So, before, just a little while ago, what I have is I've got my main guitar going into my TC Electronics Polytune, into my Morley wah lock, then into my Boss phase shifter, PH3, then going into my Rotovibe pedal, same one that Zach Wild uses, My second one, by the way. First one crapped out on me. And then from there into my Demon FX Attack Drive Andy Timmons clone. And then running up to my TC Electronics Flashback, which is just, you know, a slapback. That's really all I use out of the three. It's the second one. And that is it. I have my on and off switch for my channel switching on my Eddie Van Halen Iconic 3 EVH, whatever, 5150 40 watt combo. And the boost I never really use, so I have the pedal instead of that way, this way, just so I could hit that one button for going clean and dirty. And then the loop pedal is all on its own. I do have my Daisy Chain 3 that's powering the Polytune, the Molly wall lock, and the loop station now because I had an extra one. And everything else has its own separate AC adapter. And I have one that I'm not even using now, so I just put a cap on the end of it. But I was running the Rotovibe in with the Daisy Chain, but it was going from the Polytune into the Rotovibe and then the wall lock, because the Polytune has a buffer on it to push the signal. So when you're running a chain, you know, and the tuner is to be first, you know, the least amount you could run a Daisy Chain is 3. And, you know, so it pushes the signal through, you know, through those. And then when I switched it around, I actually had the Demon FX before the Rotovibe, and I was getting somewhat like a backup beeper. Beep, beep, beep. And now I don't, because I switched them. Because I remember Paul Gilbert saying that put the phase shifter before your drive or distortion, because back in the day, the shifter, you went, you know, right into the guitar, into the wah-wah pedal, into the shifter, into whatever effects, into the amp, because you used the drive on the amp. So, and I do realize the tone sounds a lot thicker and not as bright, not so tinny. I had it the other way yesterday and it was so bright, I was like, what, you know, I thought maybe I moved the knobs while I was switching things around. So, the only downside is the Demon FX, now it's hard to click, you know, on and off the boost, because I basically leave the drive on all the time. The only things that I turn on and off as I'm using is the phase shifter, and my foot most of the time is just sitting on the wah pedal, just waiting for something, you know, I just get that feel, I just rest it there, like I'm doing it right now. That's on the floor, that's on the pedal. Because it's spring activated, I then I can make it. That's me hitting the button to make it sound like that. It could go from wah to almost like a talk box. So, yeah, that's the only kicker, is that when I started that solo, I hit the boost for that one note, you know, to ring out like that. Another reason why I use the wah, because I can get that screaming feedback. But I just gotta get used to clicking it on and off with my heel instead of my toe, because it's the last thing on the board. And my little footstool that I use, that I have to put my foot on, because I'm used to playing in a classical position like that. And a lot of great players say the guitar is meant to be close to your chest. you know, especially the acoustic classical guys. So, you know, now it's like my foot is hovering over the pedal as it, you know, hangs over the top of the footstool. Yeah, I know, little things, but it's always something. But at least it's a lot quieter than it was before. And I don't hear that backup beeper. I just hear slightly, watch, I'm gonna click it on. My finger goes up, it's on. You could hear it, just a little bit. It's a little bit. It's really minor, really nothing to complain about. But it was a lot quieter before. But I'm gonna have to, you know, I'm gonna have to deal with it because I have my loop pedal. I've got my on and off to turn it on and off without clicking it twice. My FS5U. And then I have the one next to it because they're two together, and that one just switches up and down the bank. So, yeah, I think I'm pretty satisfied with it now. That little bit, again, it's what my ear just tells the brain, saying, "What the hell's going on, man?" Oh, my buddy called me up and said, you know, he said, that Demon FX attack drive, the Andy Timmons clone pedal. He says, I put that on my board. I did a gig with it. He plays several guitars, and on, you know, when he's doing his the show, whatever you want to call it. And he said, man, that thing sounded great with a single coil. He's got a Strat with single coil EMGs. He's got the Eddie Van Halen Wolfgang Music Man Sterling kind of guitar with the dual humbuckers and the Floyd and the drop D. And then he's got a Godin from Canada that he's had for years. And it's funny because here's a guy that's a professional player, and he brings that guitar out, and everyone's used to seeing a Fender, a Gibson, you know, Paul Reed Smith kind of thing, and he's got that, and he just like, okay, he rips it up, and he shows them that even the Strat that he has, it's like a Strat that he customized. It's like a no name brand Strat, and he just painted the headstock and did work on it and set the whole thing up, and he's got a regular, like a Wilkinson bridge. And because he knows what he's doing, the thing stays in tune and it sounds amazing. So yeah, people, you know, when they see like him up on stage and, oh, what's he playing? Because that's what I do. I like to see what's on the floor, what's he using, what kind of amp, and what's the guitar. And then, you know, they see that and they're like, oh, maybe this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe he just started. And then he starts playing and they're like, what? Yeah. So, yeah, he called me up saying, yeah, I put it back on my board. I played live with it, and the thing is never leaving my board. So yeah, so again, I bought another one just in case that one, something ever happens to, which they never do. You know what I mean? I've had pedals that I bought since the 80s, 1980s, that I had for years. Just before I left Long Island, 2013. Is when I started selling all my vintage pedals and stuff that I had, all rare, you know, original stuff that I bought for like $50 back in the 80s, and it was worth like a couple of hundred. And you know, the whole mortgage, the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, we had Countrywide, owned by Bank of America, and I mentioned it before. My mortgage went from $2,400. It was on half an acre. We were had our own private beach, and I had a, you know, like a 11-room house with a walkout deck to a big wraparound, you know, in the ground pool. I had a shed with a foundation, so my tax was like $11,500 a year in taxes. Yeah, and you know, that when the mortgage went from 24 to 42. I was like, oh man, I just started going to my Tupperware container and, well, okay, what can I get for this? What can I get for that? You know, I miss my house, but I think about it all too much, because thinking about the past kind of makes you depressed and sad, and I don't want to feel like that. So I just keep on looking towards the future. Don't trip up on the past. Step into the future. That's my saying. Thanks for watching. Have a good day and a better tomorrow. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to work. Adios, amigos.